right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chase with Kiss My Arsenal. We are out here with the Springs Armory team today, and we've got ourselves a little FN case. So this is going to be the FN 502, and we're going to do a quick little first impression, sort of what we think of the firearm, sort of what it comes with. This is going to be basically how it comes out of the box. So we've got your different plates if you do want to run optics. Unfortunately, we didn't have a spare optic out here today, but we do have some suppressors to throw on this bad boy. So we're gonna give it a test, suppressed, unsuppressed. Just real quick, we're gonna do a quick, not breakdown of the gun, but just kind of go over. 10-round magazine does also come with, I think that's actually the 15-round magazine, then a little 10-round magazine in the box. So it is going to be a single action only handgun, as you can see here. When that's locked to the rear, there is no trigger function, but you got your threaded barrel, 1/28, different optics, plates and stuff, and it is going to be suppressor height, which is great for stuff like this out of the box, because, you know, hey, you can throw your 9mm can, your 22 can, different types of options on here. It is going to feature a safety very similarly to your 1911s, so if you want to rock this little guy cocked and locked, they just make a great little training tool on something like this, because you can simulate running, say, your 1911, say your standard carry firearm, but for much, much cheaper. Just out of the box, kind of feeling it, one of the better texturings I've felt on a little 22. They give this great little option right here for that thumb to kind of sit nice and tight. Clears that magazine release, which is going to be ambidextrous on the firearm, as well as your slide release. We're going to kind of go around, get everybody's shots on, sort of see impressions, it's not going to be a multi 1,000-round review, but we're gonna put as many rounds as we see fit and sort of go from there. So let's get shooting, folks. Let's get shooting. All right, FN 502 first shots. We're about to see how she runs. I got a little bit of a mixture here. So we've got some copper coated, just standard 22 LR. I think it's a Gila Super Extra. And then just to sort of throw it off a little bit, we got a little bit of Blazer round nose, just some non-copper coated. Just kind of see if we can throw it off a little bit. But let's see how this little bad boy shoots. There we go. All right. Got a good little trigger on it, that's for sure. Not bad, she shoots good, trigger's nice. I will say that slide feels a little sluggish, might have to get some oil on there, but she shoots good. She shoots very good. One of the great things about 22s and things of the like is that a lot of these guys are gonna feature a nice, easy to load sort of magazine where you can draw that spring down, not having to overcome the spring pressure, because a lot of the time, especially with something so small, it's just a pain in the butt kind of feeding these guys in. So FN, many pistols do it, 22 and whatnot, but it's nice to see that FN sort of took that into consideration with their first little 22 pistol. Just kind of getting a few different people's perspectives, a lady's perspective, left-handed, things like that, especially being an ambidextrous pistol.
I really like that trigger. That's nice. I'm not the biggest fan of the grip on it. Feels a little bit too wide for me because I have small hands, but I really did like the trigger. It does shoot really well.
I like it. It's got a nice feel to it. This is the first time I shot a 22, so yeah, you know, it's a lot different than shooting my 9mm, but it feels good. Yeah. It's comfortable, good grip.
Wow, I really enjoy how it feels a lot more like a pistol rather than like a lot of your 22s are gonna feel, I don't know, I feel like a lot of your 22s are gonna feel very not full pistols. I feel like with this, it feels like a full pistol in your hand, even though it's a little, I think they get that in the weight.
Texturing does feel beautiful, and that trigger really nice on there. I just don't like how with a hammerfire pistol I only have single action. I prefer a double action, especially the 22, just in case I need to hit that round one more time on that. Overall though, not a terrible gun, just personally not for me.
So for this next little segment, we're going to be running the Rugged Obsidian 9. This is my personal suppressor. I have a 22 can, so I'm curious. I tend to run a 9mm suppressor for a lot of my 22s. Fully user serviceable suppressor, and there's a lot of extra weight. Being that this is a direct blowback firearm, there's no Browning locking system. I don't really see a suppressor causing any issues with the firearm, but it is definitely going to get it dirty, potentially make it run a little bit more sluggish. So I kind of want to see how it's going to run in that regard with a little bit of extra carbon in the system, a little bit of extra back pressure. We're going to see if it likes subsonics or supersonics a little bit more, see if some of the longer barrels on the 22s can push our sub supers. So we're going to see if that's a problem with the altitude and stuff like that. We're up at like 10,000 feet up here, so it's definitely something that the higher in altitude you go, the lower the threshold is for something like subsonic ammunition. So it's something to consider. The closer you are to sea level, you got a little bit more breathing room. Up here, there's a lack of oxygen, lack of breathing room. So it's definitely nice to see what does what here. We've got a little CCI, I've got a little American Eagle. In this magazine, we are going to be running a Gila Super Extra. So the first mag is going to be supersonic, so you guys can kind of get a little bit of a feel for what the suppressor is going to do to the firearm, be it with supers, subs, how it's going to act overall. These are subs, so if it doesn't run, it'll probably be right here. What are we doing, folks? What are we doing here? Oh yeah, that sounds good.
So now we actually have a true dedicated 22 can. So we're gonna see with that difference, with that end cap there being the true diameter of a 22. We're actually gonna make sure a round gets seated this time. But alrighty, let's see. So I definitely hear that pop.
Yeah.
Still with the 22 can.
Is that subsonic?
That's super.
Super.
Yeah, so gonna switch it now to the subsonics. Got some American Eagles on that guy. So it's got that first round crack.
Much lighter.
Okay, so it cycles well.
Yeah,
a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that little bit of gas escape, it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah,
for sure.
did it
A lot of backlash in the
Yeah.
face. I got a lot of stuff.
So switching up the ammunition a little bit, going with some CCI subsonics now. See if that runs any different on that one for you. Overall, suppresses really well. I think it runs a little bit slower when on the subsonics. That's just because the lighter grain weight Oz is for that one. So it's to be one of those things that maybe on your subsonics, just make sure that when you're running it, you actually have that full system going back on that one. Get those gases in there, they start to get really hot. So most of the time you don't want to touch that can. But right now, it's a nice little range hand warmer as well. You know?
Yeah, right.
It's not gonna cook my hand, but keeps it just warm enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our little round table, sort of talking about the firearm that we just got to shoot. So it was a pleasure, in my opinion, to shoot the little FN 502. Definitely shoots really nice. There are some takeaways that I certainly have, and I think everybody else sort of has after our little first impressions. Now we sort of got maybe 100 rounds through it between everybody, so nothing crazy. Like I said, this isn't going to be a multi-thousand round review. It's more so just, hey, we work at a gun counter, we want to know how it ticks. We want to know what makes these different things tick. Whether or not this is something that you should even consider. In my opinion, I do believe that I think these guys retail for right around $500. It's a great value for money. So being that it is optics ready, it does set it apart from many other pistols. So especially being that it mounts on the slide. This, in my opinion, does cause some drawbacks for the firearm, as you guys saw when we were shooting it initially. So running it like a standard firearm that I would run, I like to use the slide stop. So in that, I do believe that this firearm is a little bit sluggish, has to run a little bit of a lighter recoil spring to run things like subsonic, run a giant optic on top of it. So there are lighter options, but this guy is cut for almost everything on the market.
It is one thing, shoots really well. Like you said, very reliable. We didn't run into any issues today with it. Biggest thing on it that a lot of people like that I personally don't, I'm more of an opposite side of the spectrum. Too light of a trigger for me. Didn't get a really crisp reset, and I like a smooth reset, a smooth trigger pull all the way throughout the firearm. It just really helps me know, it's like, okay, as I'm coming back to that trigger wall, I know I'm coming to it, versus just, where's that trigger wall? Oh, okay, there it is.
I found myself slapping it a little bit to let all the way out to the reset. I did notice that. And
so I like it where it kind of doesn't force my finger out, but kind of gives me a good assist, whereas this one didn't really do that for me. As well as, like I said before, I just like a double action, single action pistol. If I have a hammer fire, I prefer it to have that double action, just in case that first round doesn't go off, or one of the rounds doesn't go off, I can hit it a second time with that. Overall though, it is a beautiful firearm. If you are looking in the market to get it started with a 22, I'd say run this one. Reliable, runs suppressed reliable as well. Red dot cut, like he said, most of them don't come. Whereas like the TX22, they have their red dot cut, but it's gonna hang over the barrel.
To the barrel, which is like, I get it for reliability perspective, but it is nice to have it on the slide.
Especially if you're gonna be running this, say you are running an FN, you want this to kind of train on. You have that same platform, the same comfortability, kind of something you're familiar with on that. It does have a safety, so again, if you are just getting started in firearms and you don't want quite to start with a 9mm, beautiful start with the 22, because you have that ability to kind of get used to that full-size pistol, but you still have that safety and you're not going to be scared of that recoil.
Yeah. Biggest thing for me is I'm a big features guy. I like something that I always like being extra, and I know there's a lot of other people that feel the same way. So the fact that it comes suppressor ready with suppressor height sights, threaded barrel, and optics ready too is great. I throw a red dot on everything, so same thing to help with that gas back in the face. So red dot is definitely going to be a nice addition. Instantly fell in love with the pistol for the features. I enjoy that side of things. Definitely after shooting it, I felt a lot smoother pistols. I've definitely felt things I enjoy shooting a lot more. After throwing the suppressor on it, it kind of altered my opinion of it. Not gonna be running it suppressed all the time, but it is a pretty big deal if that's something you do want to do down the road. In comparison to like the Ruger, it's definitely not as smooth, but still reliable. It still cycles every single round, which is the biggest deal to me, is that I can actually get those rounds on target without messing up.
I really like the way that it's shot. I love the trigger on it. A little opposite from Jane, I actually liked the reset on it, but I really did not like how wide the grip was. Just because I have tiny hands, so a 22 is a really great training option, but that one's not going to be the most comfortable for me.
We find ourselves in a very fortunate opportunity to where we can take guns like this, go out, give you guys a multitude of perspectives. So it's something that we're hoping to provide here, but I think from the Springs Armory team, that is the FN 502. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you're thinking out there, and join us again next week.